Well, welcome back again. Today we are going to talk about powder selection, and this is a tough one. Um, there's all kinds of different powders out here. Uh, there's tons of stuff, and how do you know what works? Uh, uh, well, there's a few things you can do. Number one, obviously, go to the book. Um, when you're talking about, where do you start? This stuff's all been tested uh, by Hornady or Sierra, whoever the book is written by. They've done a lot of extensive testing on these charges and charge weights and things like that. So I would start here. They will give you a wealth of information, all kinds of different powders they've tested for different bullets. If you're shooting Hornady bullets, I would recommend getting the Hornady book. If you're shooting Sierras or Spear or whatever, Lee has a good book about. It covers a lot of different brands of bullets because Lee's not making bullets, but they do a lot of testing. And if you're shooting Berger bullets, well, go get the Berger book. And I still recommend getting a lot of books, but I would get the Berger book and the Hornady book and the Lee book and the Sierra book and all that stuff, just because it's a wealth of knowledge. And if you take all the knowledge and you sort of combine it all, it's one book maybe lacks just a little bit in one area, and one book is a little bit better, and so on and so forth. But they have all the different powders that they've tested in these books, and that's a good place to start. So now, in the charts of, let's say, for instance, I'm shooting the 108 grain Hornady ELD bullet in my 243, and there's a list of powders in there that they've tested and they work well. But in that list, there's going to be one or two powders that work best out of your gun. Now you can go to the gun store and you can buy two identical guns side by side, and one gun might shoot one powder really well, the other one might not. I've experienced this myself. 7mm is a prime example. I've got some H1000 powder, and it works great for some folks. My 7mm Rotumbo all day long, it doesn't like anything else. It just doesn't. I don't know why. Harmonics, burn rates, there's all kinds of variables. Exactly which one is it, I'm not sure, but it likes Rotumbo. Now I've tested 4831, and I've tested H1000 and Rotumbo, and I can't think of all the other ones I've tested, but I've done a lot of testing on the 7mm. And I'm not saying they group bad, but Rotumbo, hands down, out of my gun, shoots the best. So one thing that I can say is, when you're looking at bullet selection, so you go into your book and you go, okay, well, here's a list of powders. The next thing is go online and start reading those forums, and you're going to see a pattern. And it doesn't mean it's going to be true with your gun, but there's going to be a pattern of powders that seem to outperform both in accuracy and in ballistics with speed than other powders. So my 243, a lot of people swear by Varget out of a 243. Not this guy, doesn't shoot it. It does shoot Hybrid 100V. It shoots it phenomenally well. And this is kind of a new powder to the market. It's not one of the extreme powders, and I'm okay with that, because I know what this powder does, and I've tested it at different temperatures, 30 degrees, 40, 50, 60, up to 80, and I know what this powder does. So I can build my ballistic data charts off of this powder based on certain temperatures. So the other powder that works good out of a 243 is H414. Now, this powder here I got some really good results with it. The problem I had with this powder is I got a hang fire frequently. Um, Once I switched over to CCI Magnum 250 primers, this powder, it worked perfect every time. It's just harder to ignite. So a standard rifle primer may or may not ignite this powder. Some books do say to use a Magnum primer when you use this powder. Other books don't say that. This is kind of part of that learning curve, I guess, that's not necessarily always published. So I would I would say if you're gonna shoot a 243 with H414 powder, which is a great powder, I got great results with this powder. You need to start off with a lower charge, and I don't mean at the very bottom necessarily, but you should start off with a lower charge. You are shooting a Magnum primer, and just to make sure you don't have any pressure issues. So, but you're gonna find now if you shoot H414, just because this on the bottle here it recommends 40 grains, well, and that is for a 100 grain bullet. Now, I was shooting a 105 grain bullet with mine, and the powder, I couldn't go more than about 38 grains of powder because I had a longer barrel. I started to get pressure signs, things like that. So you need to start off slow, work your way up, play around with the seating depths and things like that. So the harmonics, you're going to find that sweet spot in the harmonics with your particular rifle. But again, I would start off with researching the books, going on the internet, and seeing what they show. You're going to find that pattern where things are, the majority of people are having better luck with certain powders. I would start with that powder. That doesn't mean it's the golden answer, because it might not be, but your odds are going to be better using a powder that most people have the best luck with. So that's what I would have to say about your powder selection, and so I think we'll move on to the next segment. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and enjoy reloading.